You're welcome to Joy News today right here on Joy News. And of course, I'm Noella Karen Iyali. Coming up in our bulletin, we need real accountability, not press releases. The Media Foundation for West Africa slams military over assault on Joy News journalists and demands accountability.
Today is completely untenable. It's a deeply embarrassing one to see men in uniform, our military men, behave the way they did yesterday.
More, as Ken Ashigbe describes as disturbing the pattern of abuse against journalists that often ends in silence and secrecy. Also, Human Rights Court throws out suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono's judicial review motion, labeling it as an abuse of court process. Also, current and former road ministers clash in Parliament over which government has built more roads, plus the former minister's insistence that Accra and Kumasi roads be prioritized.
The list of programs of roads is heavily skewed towards certain regions in the country. When you were speaking, I never even moved my body. I listened to you. You were taking notes. Just, you see, I don't know why you are feeling uncomfortable.
We have details as Parliament approves the government's request to dedicate all oil revenues and mineral royalties to finance the Big Push program. Also, tears flow as Oboku Saviour Church buries 16 youth ministry members in mass funeral. We also have business, sports, and showbiz all in this package. Remember, this is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. And we begin with the Media Foundation of West Africa because it has criticized the military statement on the assault of Joy News journalist Carlos Coloni and his crew, insisting the attack did not occur in secrecy and thus urged the military to stop hiding behind vague investigations. Speaking on the Super Morning Show, Executive Director Suleiman Abrahima questioned the point of investigating an incident captured clearly on video. He warned that failure to take decisive action only entrenches a dangerous culture of impunity within the ranks of the military. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, here's Carlos Coloni recounting his ordeal on the Pulse.
When they arrived, you saw in the video, I told them I am a pressman.
Right.
So, and I raised my microphone for them to see that indeed we're not there doing something of Magdan. We're from a reputable media organization, Joy News for that matter. And they saw it clearly that this actually are journalists, but of course they went ahead to, you know, assault us and all that. So he was giving us the account of what had happened on Monday, you know, because the Monday demolition happened under the cover of darkness. And this is one guy that lives around. So he was going to paint a picture, tell us exactly what happened on Monday. We were not the only media people there. There were other journalists also who actually took to their heels, you know, but because we were the first people they encountered, we could not escape. Others managed to escape.
But personally, you as a reporter, did you suffer any assault?
Of course. In the process, the one, first of all...
Because I heard somebody said, I will give you a slap. I don't know whether that particular comment was directed at you.
Yes, it was directed at me. In fact, I was punched
They accused you
from
the back without their knowledge.
Yes. And by then, the CEO of Magdan Group and his 3 others were asked to kneel. So they were kneeling at gunpoint. And we tried to capture that moment. We could not. And so we left it. So they thought that we had captured that moment when Magdan, the CEO, was kneeling with his 3 others. By then, this eyewitness was also somewhere being beaten by other military people. Now, my cameraman did a very good work. Prior to where you saw that they were going to slap me, there was an officer behind him with a gun, preventing him from filming. So he was there, motionless, couldn't do anything. So if you saw the video that rolled earlier,
it was basically camera, like on the ground.
Yes, the camera was actually on the floor, you know. So it was when he had some space and took the camera, that was when he was able to film what we are seeing now. So they thought that I was filming when I received a call from a producer to find out whether we're ready to go on air. So I had two phones. One, I was using my left hand to listen to communicate, and one was on my right. So then they thought with the right phone, I was filming. That was when they rushed. And if you listen to the conversation,
exactly,
they said I was filming.
It was at that point that the man said he was going to give you a slap.
Yes, and by the time I heard that, I had a punch from behind, heavy one. And I tried turning.
Did you see the person who assaulted you?
I saw his face when I went back to
civilian or military officer? Military
officer in military. But of course, many of them were masked.
So you couldn't
see. But for him,
you saw his face.
I saw his face.
You can identify him anytime.
Yes, at close range. He was just behind me. So when he gave me the second punch, I could not see. And it took me a few minutes to, you know, regain myself. By then, my phones were taken. And the reason they did that was that McDan and his people were kneeling. So they didn't want us to take any picture of that moment. And so they told me then I am now a suspect. And they took myself and the eyewitness that was talking to us, together with the CEO and 3 others, in different vehicles and whisked us to the National Security Head Office.
And on what grounds were you described as a suspect? Did they tell you the reason why they were arresting you?
Nothing. The only reason they gave was that I was filming secretly.
Okay. That's the reason why they took you to the office of the National Security.
We can now hear from the Executive Director for the Media Foundation for West Africa, who says real accountability, not press releases, is needed to restore confidence and discipline within the armed forces.
I think that what happened yesterday is completely untenable. It's a deeply embarrassing one to see men in uniform, our military men, behave the way they did yesterday. And I think that we are also witnessing a very, very worrying pattern of some of these actions in the name of national security operations. I think over time we are hearing national security matters on issues that are just completely embarrassing. And the earlier these things are stopped, the better. I haven't reached out to the military high command yet, but that is something that we'll do, except to say that I've had very respectable generals reach out to say that they themselves are quite disappointed with the statement that was issued yesterday by the military. Because what happened didn't happen in a secret. We are not speculating. It is not an allegation that Carlos was assaulted. This happened in the open. Videos have been seen. There is no point in the military trying to pretend that, well, they don't know the officers or officer involved. And sometimes, yes, I should say you don't want to take actions that will demoralize the military. But if you also allow indisciplined conduct to fester, you only basically would be promoting acts of indiscipline within the same military institution. And so we can only look forward to realistic action being taken rather than this peripheral statement that we are investigating. What exactly are they investigating?
Now, on his part, member of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, termed as disturbing the pattern of abuse against journalists that often ends in silence and secrecy. Now, Now, Dr. Ashibe referenced unresolved cases, including the brutal assault of Joy News journalists during the Ablekuma North elections and the attack on reporter Lateef Idris recently at the Yoko headquarters, stressing that unless bold legal steps are taken, such as pursuing redress at the ECOWAS Human Rights Court, justice will continue to elude victims and impunity will persist.
It really is very heart-wrenching to see these things happen. And it's just because this impunity goes unpunished. You know, we have several examples of these things that happen. And then the last one that happened just before this, what happened at Ablekuma North? What has happened to that policeman? We are told of interdiction, and it's all clouded in secrecy, and nothing happens. That there's the situation of even your colleague who was beaten up by the police at the police headquarters. What happened to that? You know, the police told us that, you know, there's no CCTV footage of that. So it is important that in this one and in the rest of them, we demand transparency from the authorities in terms of the way the punishments are done. And so the military, yes, it's good that the statement has been issued, but what happens after today, we need to be kept, you know, in the know. And we should get to the point where, you know, just as we did in other cases, especially multimedia, where you took civil action, some action has to be taken. There are some of the cases currently, like Lateef's case, there is one of the Pius's case who was also beating up during one of these elections. We need to be taking these cases. If it won't be handled in Ghana, we should be going to the ECOWAS Human Rights Court.
Now, the incident has highlighted the growing threat to press freedom in Ghana, with journalists facing increasing hostility and aggression while performing their duties. The Joy Research Desk has been mining the data, and we have that on your screens right now. We're going to tell you the number of assault on journalist cases that has happened this year alone, from January to July 2025. We know that at least 13 cases have ensued this year alone, assault on journalists. We can have the next slide. I'd break down the numbers for you. So on 11th February, the Council of State elections in the Ashanti region, we had 5 journalists assaulted. And also 21st February, at the illegal miners Breman Forest, we saw 3 journalists also assaulted. On 27th May, the Yoko headquarters, the Wuntumi detainment case, we saw 1 journalist also assaulted. And at the recent Ablekuma North rerun elections, we saw 3 journalists assaulted, including 1 from GH1 television. And of course, the recent one being Carlos Coloni being assaulted while filming what he saw during the demolition of businessman Magdan's warehouse at Spintex Road. But let's move away from that and still bring you some more stories, because the Human Rights Court has thrown out suspended Chief Justice Getsu Tokunu's judicial review motion, labeling it as an abuse of court process. Let's cross over to court. Our court correspondent, I beg your pardon, Ken Jesse, who has some updates for us. Ken, you can hear me. What can you report? Ken, if you can hear me, what can you report? Hello, Ken? All right, so we'll rework our phone lines and get to him later with that update. All right, so let's head over to our Zoom and speak to Ken, because the High Court Criminal Division has dismissed an application by former Finance Minister Kenneth Ofori-Atta seeking to strike out a warrant issued for his arrest by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Joy News' editor Elton Brobe joins me via Zoom. Not Kenneth, I beg your pardon. Elton, what do we know?
So this is just coming in from the High Court, the Criminal Division. Remember that Mr. Ofori-Atta has been declared wanted. He is on the Interpol Red Alert list by a matter that's occasioned by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and that is in a way restricting his movement. They've also taken steps to even get the FBI to be involved in this particular matter. But Mr. Ofori-Atta went to court trying to set aside the position taken by the OSP. Now, this is just coming in from the High Court. The court has dismissed an application by former Finance Minister Kenneth Ofori-Atta seeking to strike out a warrant issued for his arrest by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Remember, Mr. Ofori-Atta had argued that the OSP unlawfully obtained a warrant and asked the court to set aside all related proceedings, including an Interpol Red Notice alert. However, the court came to the decision that the application lacked merit and dismissed it in its entirety, meaning that the status quo will remain. Mr. Ofori-Atta will continue to be on the Interpol Red Alert, and there's a warrant for his arrest as well.
Thank you so much, Elton, for that update. But let's still stay and do some more court-related stories. But that would be right after we tell you what the Roads and Highways Minister Kwame governs Abuja, because he has clashed with former Minister of the sector, Francis Asensio-Boakye, on Wednesday in Parliament when Mr. Asensio-Boakye criticized government's big push agenda as a mere political gimmick. Now, the former roads minister expressed worry over what he described as the unequal distribution of road projects across the country and the program, insisting Accra and Kumasi must be prioritized over places with almost no human beings. Kwame governs Abuja rebutted these claims, leading to heated exchanges between the two on the floor.
The list of programs of roads is heavily skewed towards certain regions in the country, completely neglecting Greater Accra region and Ashanti region. For me, that is not fair to the country. That is not strategic, because you build roads where there are human beings, a lot of densely populated people, communities. You build roads which will connect economic centers that will drive economic development and economic growth. Basic economic theory teaches us that when resources are scarce, when we are in financial constraints, you prioritize. And that's exactly that's what I'm saying. If my opponents don't understand this, I don't know what else they will understand. You issued a statement saying that we are saying that President Akufo-Addo, well, we are trying to rubbish President Akufo-Addo's record of 10,800 kilometers. You were not here. He was standing here and said, we have built 10,800 kilometers of new roads, and he was doing us like that. Remind him. And I fact-checked him. What the president said here was untrue. Yes. He never built 10,800 kilometers of new roads. My brother, you see, you have been a road minister for the Republic of Ghana. Is it just a small advice? The road minister of Republic of Ghana, it doesn't sit well where all your examples appears as if you haven't been to any other place in the country. It doesn't look well. When you were speaking, I never even moved my body. I listened to you. You were taking notes. Just, you see, I don't know why you are feeling uncomfortable. Just stay calm. You went as far as saying that we build roads where human beings are. I went around the 16 regions. When I got to OT region, there was no active road project going on in the OT region. Wow. Is that fair? Wow. Is that fair? Guess what? Reset means that we are taking road infrastructure to every part of the country. And if you don't like it, you can do whatever you like. When you come back, you can decide not to do road there. We shall take road everywhere we like. Every single region in our country is touched by the proposed Big Push projects. Yeah. Let me repeat once again. Big Push is not a constituency specific or a political gimmick.
Meanwhile, Parliament has approved a request by the government to dedicate all oil revenues and mineral royalties to finance the Big Push program. It follows a report by the Joint Committees on Budget and Finance for the multi-year commitments for selected road project and the 13.8 billion Ghana cedis Big Push Phase 1 program to be approved. Now, the multi-year Big Push program prioritizes a single project each year, starting with roads in 2025 and then continue with another project in the next budget cycle in 2026. In all, the government is seeking to spend about 70 billion Ghana cedis on Big Push by 2028. Here's how the debate went down on the floor.
If somebody says that I am aggregating, putting everything together under my administration, and I've done 13,000 kilometers, and as a result of that, even pothole patching have been included, what is wrong with it? Because you and I know that a lot of our roads are immotorable because of the state of the roads. So if you fix them and you are adding that to your achievement, there's nothing wrong, with respect. With respect, and you agree with me. Concerns of the minority has to do with the uneven distribution of these roads. I have seen the list, quite a number of them. Sometimes we, the politicians, we try to pretend, but the reality is always a reality. Some of these roads were started under Akufo-Addo. They've not been completed. You are continuing. That is governance, and I agree. I will not stand here and critique you for that. But it should not be created, the impression should not be created as though it is a certain big push, big push, big push. What are you pushing?
I believe that this Big Push project is not the first time we're doing roads, but it's an expression of the commitment of this government to make a major dent in the road infrastructure deficit of this country. We plan to do more. He was asking where we're pushing. We're pushing on all the roads of this country. That's where we're going to push. When we finally finish fixing the financial mess that we have inherited, and we sort out the debts that we have inherited, and we begin to make significant savings, I can assure you that your complaint about discrimination will be addressed.
This report has received a bipartisan support, and I want to thank colleagues for this. I agree that the finance minister must adhere to what we are approving. But the 13 billion is the allocation for Big Push this year. That is why it's a multi-year commitment. No one is saying that all these projects will cost 13 billion. Mr. Speaker, they are in excess of 70 billion. So the 13 billion is not the cost of the Big Push project phase 1.
Honourable members, obviously, the ayes have it. The motion and the report of the committee are accordingly adopted.
Now, in another legal blow to Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, the Human Rights Division of the Accra High Court today, July 31, dismissed her application for judicial review, describing it as an abuse of court process and further asserting that it lacks jurisdiction. Now, this ruling marks a crucial development in the ongoing saga surrounding petitions for her removal from office. The concept of abuse of court processes, as cited by the High Court, typically refers to the improper use of legal proceedings for an ulterior purpose or to vex, harass, or delay justice. Now, this implies the court found Justice Torkornoo's application to be an attempt to obstruct the legitimate process rather than a genuine pursuit of constitutional redress. The decision signaled a further narrowing of the legal avenues available to Chief Justice Torkornoo to halt the proceedings initiated against her. Away from that, alarming new data reveals bullying in senior high schools is escalating with devastating consequences, including shattered mental health, collapse in academic performance, and tragically, even student death. Now, in response, school authorities at the Techiman Senior High School and the Africa Health Promotion Organization have launched a student-led war on bullying, on bullying, a peer-to-peer mental health initiative training learners to spot abuse, support victims, and build bullying-free zones. And we'll speak to Kisses Johnson Ahoto, who is the Executive Director of the Africa Health Promotion Organization shortly. But first, here's Solomon Jagba, Bunu East Regional Head of Inspectorate, GES.
We are taking recognition from the effect that bullying caused to most of our students. Some even try to harm themselves because of bullying. So we are thinking that if our learners who have been entrusted to our care to trained, if they live with fear because of bullying, then they cannot excel academically. So we are asking that all our schools will be bullying free, and the students can learn with that safe environment to improve their academic excellence.
Now, Executive Director, Africa Health Promotion Organization, Kisses Johnson Ahoto, joins me via Zoom to answer how they arrived at this data. Sir, thanks for joining us. How did you arrive at this data?
Many thanks to you, Noella, for the opportunity. And so this data was a landscaping data research that was done by the University of Ghana Research Department. They came up with this data. And so from the NGO point of view, we in turn triangulated the data on the field, and we came up with this a very detailed issues that are happening in the school. And I'm sure that there are more to it that we can have a conversation. So the first phase of it was the one that was done by the University of Ghana, the landscaping data, which we triangulated across the 12 schools in 6 regions.
Right, and given the tragic outcomes you've observed, including students' death, how would you assess the level of urgency or seriousness school authorities and policymakers are truly attaching to the bullying crisis beyond, just launching symbolic campaigns?
Great. And so if you look at the structure pretty much well, you will come to some realization. The schools authorities are doing a lot more in this regard to attempt to provide some safe space for our students in the various schools. And so you realize that the issues of the original corporal punishment, among others, that are already ongoing through the teacher-student level has been done away with from the GES point of view. What we have to deal with currently now has to do at the student level. And so all the interventions that the GES has always been providing has to do with punishments, more of a reactive situations. And so what we are doing now is a novel where we are using building capacity of students to attempt that they lead this intervention. Let me detail a little bit more into it. So when you look at what is happening now, issues around, we can see some few deaths that happened, issues around major violence issues. They are very threatening structures as the data gave us. Issues around depression, anxiety, self-concept, and many other things that are happening. And so we are introducing this new initiative where we are putting students as the center front because they are the major stakeholders. And apparently they have never led the intervention. And so this new initiative is putting them ahead in the area of prevention. And you see, so that we don't have the case to even talk of having to deal with it in the first place. And so this is exactly what we are doing across 6 regions at the proof of concept stage. And that as we continue to do it and we validate the data, then GES says that, okay, this is a structure and that it can be cascaded to all schools to attempt to limit it in that regard. But I must say that the initiative was first launched with the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, particularly also Director for SHEP and Guidance and Counseling were all very, when we did the regional structure, the enthusiasm the regional administration attached to the project and the school administration really tells you that bullying is a major issue in the schools, and they are really, really interested in ensuring that they achieve zero tolerance in bullying across our schools.
Great work there. But also walk us through the psychological and social indicators your team is using to measure the impact of the peer-led mental health initiative and how you will know it's not just creating awareness, but actually changing behavior and saving lives.
Yes, and so we are also most grateful to the Ghana Health Service Ethical Review Committee who have given us the clearance to do the baseline and endline survey. Baseline has been done already and across all the schools, and we have the data. What we are looking at is that at the end of the day, we want to really see the issues of self-concept. How are they improving in the areas of that? And then the issues of self-reporting that will lead into depression, issues around anger, and that of disruptive behavior. I must tell you that there are really, really detailed issues happening in silence that students are not able to report. And so their peers, they can interact. It's organic, and the issue now are able to transcend beyond the fact that anytime you have any issue, your first point of call initially has been to go to a teacher to report. But now we are having it, student interacting, and then they have their leaders, and then the leaders now have it to the management level. And in that structure, you could see that empowerment becomes greater. And once students are empowered, they are able to really speak for themselves and then essentially take control over their own health. And so we are doing these interventions, looking at these issues that I've mentioned, and want to see greater structures in the area of self-concept, empathy, brotherliness, improving, so that at the end of the day, we will be able to provide a safe space for all to thrive. But come to think of it, in all our structures, right? In all our structures, students who are major stake players in this intervention has always been sidelined, have always been sidelined. And so it is time to give them this major opportunity to really lead the conversation. And when we are in the schools, the enthusiasm, look at the program structure. Per each school, we are developing a minimum of about 30 students who will essentially take control and serve as their peer ambassadors, what we call the peer educators. In many of these schools, that number have been oversubscribed. And then per the school structure, there's always a guidance and counseling coordinator, and as well as the SHEP coordinator. But this intervention is giving opportunity to many other teachers to join in, you see. And so now, if you look at it, we are using the whole society approach. So all hands on deck, and everybody is moving in that direction, and want to see major zero tolerance across our schools in the areas of brotherliness, in the areas of empathy, less in disruptive behaviors, and major issues around suicide ideations. All these are really greater aspects we want to see greater change in. And well,
thank you so much for speaking to us. Mrs. Johnson Ahoto is the Executive Director for the Africa Foundation, and they've been doing some excellent work there. Let's move away from that. And the scene of the tragic crash that killed 16 members of the Oboku Saviour Church has become a somber sight for mourning. Now, the accident, which occurred at Waterworks near Judicial in the Ashanti Akim South municipality, continues to draw crowds as families hold a mass burial for the victims. Now, many residents, some from faraway communities, are visiting the area where the church's youth ministry lost their lives just 4 days ago. My colleague Ohiming Teria reports from the scene where the sight of scattered personal belongings left behind by the victims has left many visitors in tears, and he joins us live via Zoom. Ohiming, thank you so much for joining us. I can imagine how difficult it's been for families and friends of the victims.
I will say that the entire Ashanti Achim South community has been thrown into a state of mourning, especially in the Obogu community, where these 16 victims hailed from. Every nook and cranny in the community has been turned into a state of mourning. You see people clad in red and black mourning the demise of the 16 victims of last Monday's accident. Right from the mortuary, the bodies of the deceased were sent to the cemetery, so there were no opportunities for loved ones beyond the nuclear families to pay their homage and last respect to the deceased. But in a mass burial, it drew many residents from near and far to the community to at least witness the situation for themselves. Before then, when I went to the scene, I met many residents, some who had traveled out from Greater Accra region to see for themselves for the very first time where 16 people could perish in an accident within a twinkle of an eye. Here at the Obugu, the Savior Church Mission, funeral is being held for the 16 deceased persons. And here, the Municipal Chief Executive for Asante-Achem South, Mame Ofori-Atta, told me that indeed the Kumasi-Accra road has become a death trap, and she wouldn't buy to the idea that a state of emergency should be declared as far as the Kumasi-Accra highway is concerned. But she did indicate that his outfit, with the support of the assembly members and the communities within the Asante-Achem South municipality, they will make sure that this carnage that happened on that particular stretch does not repeat itself. She has been commiserating with the bereaved families. She also announced that 15,000 Ghana cedis from the assembly has been given out to the families to support the funeral arrangement. Beyond this, the assembly is also taking care of the treatment cost of all the victims who are still on admission at the hospital. So I will say that in the Obogu Township here, everywhere you go, you see people either crying or expressing their sentiment against the death of these 16 people in the community.
For that reportage, really a sad day in the Asante-Achem South Municipality. You're still watching Joy News today, but still to come in the bulletin, thinking of arguing with your wife? Well, President Mahama says, don't even try it. You have already lost. Right here.
One of the key talents you have to make your marriage last 33 years is to try not to argue with your wife.
Welcome back to Business here on Joy News today. My name is Winston Taki, and as our first business story, the Ghana Hubs Network is scaling up efforts to decentralize innovation and digital transformation across the country. At the launch of this year's Ghana Digital and Innovation Week, chairperson of the Ghana Hubs Network, Yao Edujimfi, revealed that the initiative will now span 6 regions with the goal to reach all 16. Ursula Calistego has more in this report.
At the launch of this year's Ghana Digital and Innovation Week, chairperson of the Ghana Hubs Network, Yao Edujimfi, said the launch has grown from an Accra-based event to a national movement. Now in its 5th year, the program has expanded to 6 regions with a goal to reach all 16. It aims to empower youth and women by showcasing digital tools, innovative projects, and job creation opportunities.
What we are trying to do is to be able to go to all corners of our regions, which is 16 regions. The idea is that in these regions, we're able to showcase innovation and digital projects that are ongoing in the regions, the innovation and digital opportunities in these regions, and more importantly, how innovation and digital technologies can be leveraged for job and skills building, which is very important for young people and women. So government is already with us through the Ministry of Communication and of course also through their agency, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. But we want government at that level, at the regional level, to be to be able to galvanize support. Because what we are trying to demonstrate and showcase is that we are also showcasing the potential of these regions. So we want government at the local level to be able to also be excited about this opportunity and be able to join in the road to GDIW and ensure that at the regional level we have that participation, that engagement as we have at the national level.
President of the IoT Network Hub, Judicial highlighted the growing role of young innovators in driving Ghana's digital future. He says platforms like GDIW give young tech minds the visibility and encouragement they need to build solutions for local challenges.
Over the past 4 years, we've been the poster child for GDIW from 2021 to 2024 and to this year as well. The platform has served as a place where young people like ourselves, who are very innovative, who like to build things, we get a free platform to come and showcase our innovation. The first year was exciting to see the Vice President visit our booth and taking a picture with us and posting on his social media. So when we saw that, we were excited about how our leaders also are excited about what we're building. And this goes a long way to encourage young people like us to keep building and solving the problems around our society. Over the past 4 years, our journey through GDIW has been amazing. We got the opportunity to also host programs to educate a lot of young people, parents and teachers on technology as part of the conferences as well. Last 2-3 years, we built a lot of technologies like drones, robots, and it gives us a platform to engage with a lot of young people, students, to also inspire them to seek to also build solutions as well.
Organizers say they are counting on stronger regional and private sector support to scale innovation and digital inclusion across all 16 regions by 2025. The main event will be held from the 12th to the 14th of November 2025 at the Accra International Conference Center.
Now, away from that, the Nkrumah Memorial Park continues to rise with quiet majesty, standing as one of Ghana's most cherished tourist destinations. In an interview with Executive Director Dr. Collins Rawlings Nyanyan-May, disclosed that management is targeting an ambitious 1 million visitors by the year 2026, a goal he believes is attainable with continued investment and innovation at the site.
The one we will see in 2026 will be phenomenal. It will make you forget the 2024 figure very easily. I think that's what we want to do. We want to push the boundary. Can we have 1 million people visiting this park? Absolutely possible. It will require some work. It will require teams of people with good structures, with good tools to be able to do those things. So we are working on those ones as a basis for now. People tend to look at this place only as a mausoleum, but there is a change. It's not just a museum or mausoleum, it's also now it's actually a memorial park. A park always has a recreational aspect to it. So what we intend to also do is to improve the recreational content of the park itself. What are we going to do? One of the things is that we're going to create more sitting places around the park. Places that people can come, relax, sit in the evening, in the afternoon. They take break, they can come here. They may not be interested in the story, in the history again, because they may have been here twice or thrice already, but they can come here and relax. We are also trying to reactivate the restaurant.
We have more business updates at 1 p.m. on the marketplace. Up next, sports.
Time for sports on JN Today. My name is Haruna Mubarak, and exciting news for Ghana Premier League clubs because each team is set to receive at least 1 million Ghana cedis ahead of the new football season. The announcement was made by GFA President Keto Kreku during a partnership launch involving the Football Association, the government, and Adisa Productions.
Through this unique partnership with Adisa Productions, each one of our GPL clubs will, before the start of the league season, receive the amount of 1 million Ghana cedis each. Please, some talents. Where are my gloves? Okay. So, I will repeat what I said. In case a year would die soon. I'm saying that before the start of the season, each one of you will receive $1 million Ghana cedis. Wow. And this will be made possible.
Now, 1991 Under-17 World Cup winning goalkeeper Ali Jara is appealing to the President, John Mahama, as his last hope for state support 32 years after a career-ending injury. Speaking to Joy Sports, Jara said the state should not wait for his death before paying glowing tributes.
It's very painful. All that I'm pleading for, Ghanaians should put themselves into my shoes for 32 good years. When you have a child and you locked him in a room for 32 years, ask yourself, how would the child be? Put the child on the desert without giving him water to struggle. How would the child feel? Did Ghanaians want something bad? I am a Muslim. I'm not afraid of death because every Muslim knows there is death. If tomorrow I'm gone, I think the tributes which will be read will be full of hopes and glory and honor to what I've done for the nation. I've been the only player since Ghana football started who swaps a goalkeeper, not a player who have swapped all awards in the country. And I played football for only 3 years. Why would this happen to me?
That's your sports on JN Today. My name is Haruna Mubarak.
Let's do some international stories now. And a storm is brewing in Kenya over the latest proposals to control the sale and consumption of alcohol, including raising the minimum drinking age from 18 to 21. Now, the sweeping proposed rules unveiled on Wednesday include a ban on purchasing alcohol in supermarkets, restaurants, and on public transport. The online sale and home delivery of alcoholic drinks, as well as celebrity endorsement, will also be outlawed. The authorities have defended the planned measures as necessary to address substance abuse, especially amongst the youth. But many Kenyans, including those in the alcohol industry, have criticized the proposal as misguided and potentially destructive to the economy. Well, we take a break here. When we come back, Showbiz with Shola is next.
And it is time for Showbiz. My name is Shola Adeyemi. Now, throughout an extraordinary career spanning several decades, Daddy Lumba has released 33 albums and more than 200 songs delving into themes of love, forgiveness, beauty, mortality, and the vibrant spirit of Ghanaian life. Today, we take a nostalgic journey through his most iconic hit songs that have touched hearts across Ghana and around the globe. Oh. And that will be all for Showbiz. My name is Lois Shola Adeyemi. Noella, do you have a favorite Daddy Lumba song?
Yeah, see Custom, because
All
I love
right.
money. Yeah.
Good choice.
Anyway, before we go, thinking of arguing with your wife, President Mahama says, don't even try it. According to the president, one of the top survival skills in marriage is simple. Never argue with your wife. Speaking at a delegate Regent House of Chiefs visited and later presented him with gifts to mark his 33rd wedding anniversary, he jokingly recalled a light-hearted argument with his wife about who deserved credit for sustaining their marriage. In the end, he said he gave up and let her win the argument. Presidential Affairs correspondent Maxwell Lababa has more in this report.
One of the key talents you have to make your marriage last 33 years is to try not to argue with your wife. And I'll tell you a very funny story. When we achieved 30 years of marriage, it was a big celebration. And we were sitting in our pastor's office after church. And we're talking about the celebration that was coming, 30 years of marriage. And so my wife started saying that, Pastor, don't you see, 30 years of marriage, this marriage has survived because of me. That is me who's made this marriage survive. Otherwise, this man, who would want to marry him? And then I made the mistake of arguing and saying, oh, the marriage is survived because of me. I am the calm one, I'm the patient one. That's why the marriage has reached 30 years.
Great advice if you ask me. But anyway, that's it for Joy News today. You should log on to myjoyonline.com for more of our local and international stories. I'm Noella Karen. Enjoy the rest of our programs.